So, the last thing that we need to learn from Chapter 10 is fairly simple. It is called a post-closing trial balance. So, we have done a trial balance before in the 6-column worksheet, and that was just a check to see if our numbers were right so that when we worked with them with important documents like income statement and balance sheet, they would actually be right. But what this is after we do the closing entries, after we close revenue, expenses, withdrawals, everything's been zeroed, we want to see, did we actually do it right? And so this is called a post-closing trial balance. So it's the very last of the trial balances that we have to do. And it's very similar to the others. You simply take all the accounts that are left in the ledger, and it will just consist of these permanent accounts. See, it's much shorter, and you'll notice there's no revenue, there's no expenses, there's no withdrawals, there's no income summary. So all of the temporary accounts have been closed, and we don't do anything with them because they should all have zero balances at this point. All right? So all we're left to deal with is the permanent accounts, the assets, up here, cash and accounts receivable and all our equipment. The liabilities, our accounts payables, and our capital. And we're all the way back to the beginning of the very first thing we did in the 3rd chapter. Assets equals liabilities plus capital. Okay? So you take those numbers out of the ledger. It is whatever the last number is. And so what is our balance for cash? There it is, accounts receivable, and on down the line. Now, there is one that will be most interesting, and that is capital. Because you'll notice over here, 2650, that is what we got when we closed our revenue and our expenses and our withdrawals was all closed to capital, and it went up and down based on those 3 temporary accounts, and we ended up with a final capital balance, and it was 2650. Okay? So that's what it should say in the ledger, and this is the one to watch for, because if you have a problem here, you either have a copying error, you didn't just move it from the ledger correctly, but if you didn't do things right in the closing entries, then the more likely place your post-closing trial balance will be wrong will be right here at the capital account. Okay? So you needed to do those things at the beginning, the journal and the ledger closing of those temporary accounts. If you did that right, your capital will be right. If this doesn't balance, then more than likely the culprit's going to be your capital that was not closed properly. Okay? So those are the 2 places you might mess up on a post-closing trial balance. You didn't copy it correctly, or you had a math error, and then if those check out, it's pretty quick to check and see if you copied them correctly. Capital. You want to go back and check, did I really close my capital accounts correctly? Did I get the expenses, the revenue, income summary? Did I do that right? Did I bring it into capital? Did I forget withdrawals? You know, that's one that a lot of people forget because they do revenue and expenses and income summary, and it's the hard part, and then they forget, oh yeah, and those withdrawals. Okay? So that's why you do a post-closing trial balance, just to say, okay, I think I got all that correct. There it is. Yep, I double underlined it. It balances. We're done. Okay? So, see you in class for Chapter 10.